My name is Spencer Ivy. I'm here with my research partner, Taryn Rahovit, and we're here to introduce to you our study through the eyes of the expert, evaluating holistic processing in architects using gaze-contingent viewing. So our study was inspired by the following question. Is the ability to holistically process an image a characteristic of all visual expertise? According to the holistic processing theory, experts have an increased ability to process information from both the parafoveal and peripheral regions of their vision, and are therefore able to see and construct the whole of an image before which the important targets that they're searching for pop out. And evidence for this occurring can be found in saccadic amplitude and reaction time of eye tract experts. In the body of research done on holistic processing, these experts have typically been radiologists who have engaged in target searches. And what's unique about our study is that we brought the holistic processing theory to a novel and as of yet unstudied domain of expertise, architecture. And we expected architects to be more negatively impacted by a gaze-contingent viewing condition than a naive control in target search like their radiologist counterparts.
Thanks, Spencer. So, to investigate this problem, we recruited architects with an average of 19 years of experience and undergraduates with no experience in architecture as a control group. Our experiment consisted of a 2x2 within subjects experimental design. Each participant viewed two different image types, perspective and radiograph, under two types of viewing conditions, normal and gaze contingent. In the normal viewing condition, the entirety of the image was in view. However, in the gaze contingent condition, the participants controlled a small viewing window with their eyes. Everything in their peripheral vision was occluded. In each of these images, the participant was instructed to click on the target. In the case of the radiograph images, the target was a cancer nodule. However, the perspective images were something that was created novelly for this experiment. They consisted of many boxes in zero-point perspective, meaning that the angles of the boxes converged upon the center of the image. In these images, the target was the one box that was out of perspective, and thus had angles that wouldn't converge upon the center of the image. The participants were instructed that only half of the images contained targets. In the case where images didn't contain a target, the participants would indicate their decision with a special button. Now, to move to the results, we created the perspective task with the intent of measuring expertise in architecture. As such, a primary concern of this study was ensuring that the architects were indeed actually more accurate at identifying the target within the perspective images. As you can see here, both D' and average accuracy confirm that the perspective task successfully measured architecture expertise. The architects were more sensitive to the target in the perspective images than the naive group was. Although our task successfully managed to capture architecture expertise, we found no evidence of holistic processing being used by the architects. The holistic processing theory would predict that the saccadic amplitude of the architects would be harmed more by the gaze contingent condition than the naive control group was. However, this was not the case. We found no interaction between view type and GRU type on saccadic amplitude. In addition to saccadic amplitude, we also searched for evidence of holistic processing in reaction time, time to first fixation, and decision time. In each of these measures, there was either no interaction between GRU type and view type, or the interaction was in the opposite direction than expected. For example, in reaction time, the architects were slower than the undergraduates. Overall, while the perspective task was successful in measuring architecture expertise, we found no evidence of holistic processing. Finally, we also found no evidence of visual expertise being generalizable across domains. Now I'll pass it back to Spencer, who will explain our interpretations of these results.
Thanks, Taryn. As we see it, our study offers two important contributions to the body of research on visual expertise and holistic visual processing, the first of which is methodological. So with respect to this contribution, we needed to create a new task, our zero-point perspective image search, in order to capture and measure the particular visual expert strategies of architects. And because architects were significantly more accurate than the naive control, this task has been validated and is now out there to be used for future research. And our second contribution is the theoretical interpretation of our data. So we expected architects to be negatively impacted by gaze contingent viewing more than the naive control, but this was not the case. Why is this? The first possible explanation of our data is that holistic processing is task specific, which means that it may be the case that holistic processing strategies are possible when searching radiographs, but not when searching zero-point perspectives. And the upshot here is that holistic processing as a theory may remain as a general explanation for visual expertise, though is limited task by task. So architects would have used holistic processing if the affordances of zero-point perspective allowed for it, but they didn't. Now the alternative explanation of our data is that holistic processing is domain specific. And this means that architects may not, in fact, utilize holistic processing strategies at all, even though they are visual experts. And if this is the case, this reveals a limitation to the holistic processing model as explanatory for all cases and all domains of visual expertise. And so the upshot being that holistic processing is specific to radiology and those other domains in which it's been shown, but is not the end all be all of visual expertise. And we understand that these two conclusions come in contrast with the body of research currently out there focused on our target phenomena. Consequently, we suggest that our data reveal that with respect to holistic processing and visual expertise generally, we are still very much in the dark. However, we see the current study as the next step forward in shining light where there is still room to develop understanding, and we're hopeful that future research will continue to bring us closer to knowing what is really seen through the eyes of experts.